Welcome to r/LegalAdvice, where we read surprisingly interesting stories that don't end in a cliffhanger. I promise. If you are new around here, please feel free to subscribe to join our awesome community, and without any further ado, let's dive right in. My parents have joined some new age religion and intend to move me to a compound against my will. What can I do to get the heck out of here? My mom and stepdad are really into new age science and beliefs. I've never agreed with them on this and did not know how extreme it was. Recently though, they have become involved in an extremely weird support group. I say that in quotes because I have no effing clue who they are. When I'm around, they never mention any group names or what organization they work for or are a part of. Because of this, I have not had much luck finding out stuff, as New Age cult gives too many results to look into. This Monday, my mom and stepdad sat me and my 4 siblings down. They told us that we will be moving at the end of the month to a more stable location within a spiritual community. According to them, they plan to pull all 5 of us, I'm 16, could not think of anywhere else to mention this, out of school here and enroll us in their Free Mind Awakening school wherever we move. I tried to get anything out of them, but they refused to talk to me at all about it. According to them, because I am still a child in mind, body and spirit, I need to listen to them, not ask questions. I have actually been freaking out since then and have been trying to get advice, but I have been unable to. They cut off the internet, phone and TV Tuesday, and they have been keeping an effing laser focus on me and my siblings since then. I am currently at a friend's house and this is the only way I've actually got access to the internet. This seems like a cult 100% to me. Last night they had 3 people come and talk to me and my siblings, and the stuff they told us was effing crazy. I was talked to alone by an old man who told me about how my mind is closed and that I will slowly learn to open it as my parents have, and that the leaders will love to meet me and put me in their programs. I need to know what the F I can do here. My dad has shared custody of me and since Monday I've had no contact with him. He is supposed to have a call with me every night, but my mom claims he has been informed and supports this 100%. I tried calling him this morning, but he did not answer. He lives in another state, so it's kinda hard to get into contact with him outside of phone and email. I am at a friend's house because I was able to leave the house for the first time in a week this morning, after I told my parents I wanted to go to the park, but came here and told my friend everything. Her parents are not home, but she's trying to call them and I plan to stay here tonight if I can. My parents have forbid me from using the internet because it is full of lies from them. I am so lost right now, it makes me sick. I don't want to go with them to this obvious compound and I need to know what the F I can do here. Can I just run away, and if my parents harbor me, can they get in trouble? If my mom has been lying about my dad, can he do anything? Thanks. I talked to my mom and told her because I would be moving soon and this might be one of the last times I could see my friend, I would like to stay the night, and she said it was okay and that his family was trustworthy not to try and corrupt my view. I got into contact with my dad and he is pissed. He did not agree and was told I did not want to talk to him. My 15-year-old sister's dad was told the same, despite the fact he has primary custody and she only spends the summers with us. My sister's dad is going to call CPS too, and I just got done with my call to them, but I won't repeat what they said here. I will be spending the night here, and when my mom asks me to come back tomorrow, my dad has told me not to go back and tell her that he will be flying down here to Florida immediately if I don't check in with him or he hears I went back to her. He says that he's already looking into emergency custody. I want to thank my friend's parents real quick because holy F, have they been great. They both have been great and are working with my dad right now to help me. I also will be going and buying a burner phone tomorrow and withdrawing all my money from the bank. My dad says he will handle getting my stuff from my mom when the time comes. Thanks guys for the advice. Crazy story so far, but guys, I'm curious, did you ever have any experience with cults? You know, in the past, one of my best friends actually joined a cult because his parents kind of forced him. This is no BS, by the way, this simply happened a long time ago. And the next one is gonna be an update to the story from just now. Update: my parents joined a new age cult and tried to drag me to a compound against my will. Since my last post got popular and people still seem interested in my situation, I thought I would give you guys an update on everything. It has been over a month and I'm sorry I kept you guys waiting. Things were pretty crazy and my therapist said it probably was not the best idea to rant about it online till I felt ready. Well, now that I'm settled down a bit, I feel like it might be good to get this off my chest anyway. Sorry if this disappoints you guys, though as my dad says, I should not include any personal details for fear of leaking my identity, so even though I know the group now, I won't be naming them for fear of it getting back to me. So after I stayed the night with my friend's family, my mom and stepdad tried to get me to come back home immediately. My dad said not to go, so I somehow convinced my mom to let me stay the rest of this day and I would come home that night. This plan did not work out very well, though, as my sister's dad called the police to report that he could not contact my sister and was afraid she was kidnapped. It did not take long before my mom caught on that I was the one who leaked to him their plans and they freaked out. My mom then came to my friend's house and tried to force her way in to take me because I had been corrupted and needed to be locked away from bad influences till we left for the compound. My friend's parents called the police and I called my dad and he got to talk to my mom. I will leave it short and say this was a nightmare situation that almost ended with my mom being charged with trespassing. My mom and dad argued on the phone for over 3 hours outside of my friend's house. In the end, my dad made it so I would not have to go with them, but the only safe place my mom would agree to me staying is with my uncle 4 hours away. I stayed with him for over a week and it was the worst week of my life. My mom called me constantly to try to talk to me and save me from the evil energies my father had possessed with me. My stepfather also began to send me various threats and told me that at the end of the month I was coming no matter what. After a week of this, everything changed. My mom stopped calling me, my stepdad stopped texting and they went quiet for 4 days. Me, my uncle, my dad, all of them could not reach them. My sister's dad also stopped being able to reach them. During this time my mom bought my sister a plane ticket home and my sister's dad only learned of this when he got a call after my parents dropped my sister off at the airport. After this, my mom called me one last time. She proceeded to tell me that she had been mediating, praying to my guardian spirits daily and talking to the leaders, all to help me open my third eye to see the truth and understand I was being used by evil. During these sessions, apparently, she finally realized the truth and saw me for the evil spawn I was. According to her, I am an evil seed and that I not only was brought here to bring evil spirits onto her and her good children. I also infected the womb and corrupted my sister. She told me to send my uncle down and pick up all of my worldly possessions that were infected and to not come with him or ever contact her or her family again. She ended by telling me that I was never her child and that she hopes the universe deals with you. The last contact I know about was her telling my dad she wants to revoke her parental rights. At the end of last month, they moved to the compound with my 3 step siblings. I moved out to live with my dad and have been in therapy since then. Things are still pretty raw right now and I really don't feel like getting into the emotions I feel towards this. But I feel like at least updating this may be a start. Thank you everyone who gave advice and sent me kind messages on here offering help. I really do appreciate it. Wow, what a crazy story. Once again guys, if you have ever been involved or know someone who has been involved with cults or sects, then please let us know your story in the comments or even better on r/ripe stories. And if you have watched until here, please don't forget to post some star emojis in the comments and also like the video if you like my content and want to support me. Thank you so much. Fired for being fat. Backstory: I am a woman in my mid-30s and very overweight. Not to the point of handicap, but I am a big girl. I work at a company with around 25 employees and have been here for 8 years. Recently, the business was sold to a larger corporation who sent their own people in for management roles after laying off our entire management team consisting of 4 people. I work with clients in the field and have a good work record, and my clients like me and I have built relationships with them. Turn to today, I get called into the office of one of the new managers who tells me my appearance is not a good fit for a client-facing role, and I can either take a pay cut and work in the call center or take unpaid leave and come back after I have lost a considerable amount of weight. I was floored. I have never had a client have an issue with my weight, at least outwardly, and I'm good at my job. I meet all productivity goals and have never even received a write-up in my 8 years. I pushed and asked him if there had been any complaints, to which he said no, but they want to head off any future issues which may arise. I said straight up, "So you're punishing me because I'm fat? Are you also demoting obese male co-worker in same role as me?" He said no and did not answer when I asked why the situation was different. I left fuming and told him I was going home for the rest of the day to think about things. Can this really be legal? What recourse do I have? Honestly, my first instinct would be that is definitely not legal and it is incredibly discriminating. Let me know what you think in the comments. Update: fired for being fat. By the way guys, I forgot to ask, when was the last time that you got fired? Let us know in the comments. I posted this 2 weeks ago and a lot has happened. Something happened before I could go any further with the lawyer I spoke to. The Monday following the incident, I was asked to come speak with the VP of HR I had never met and only knew by name because they worked directly for the company that bought ours out. When I walked in the conference room, there were 4 people waiting for me, 2 of which I was told was part of legal. What I did not realize is my friend who I mentioned in the comments of the other post ended up saying something to another coworker because he was so horrified at the situation, even though I told him to keep it secret. This information ended up making its way up the chain and was not taken well, to say the least. I was asked to explain exactly what happened, who I told, and asked a lot of questions. Everything I said seemed to make them very uncomfortable, especially when I told them I was in touch with a lawyer. They had me leave the room for nearly 40 minutes and then called me back in and let me know they were very concerned about the situation and assured me it was an isolated power trip, basically. This is the holy crap part. They say that due to my long tenure in my position, knowledge of how the team works, and my relationship with clients, that they felt I would be a good fit for the position. The jerk manager sat in, and if I wanted the position it was mine, as their way of saying sorry. They also made sure to mention the large salary increase and bonuses this would come with. I took a couple minutes to think about it and took the offer. By the way, I'm not stupid, I know they did this so I would not take any legal action against them, but I love my job and don't blame them for the actions of a 20-something on a power trip. I also know it came down to he said she said and would have been a hard case to prove. There's going to be a company-wide training on gender and interpersonal relations, and I finally have an office with a door I can actually close. I am in the field a lot less now, so I guess the jerk got what he wanted, because now I don't interact face to face nearly as much as I used to. Edit for clarification, he was fired, not demoted or transferred. Guys, I'm curious to know, what would you have done if you were in OP's situation? Would you have taken the new job offer, or would you have tried to kind of expose the company? Let me know in the comments. And the next one, my landlord shut off the electricity in the middle of a heat wave. We are in New York, electricity is included in our rent. Yesterday, the landlord put notices on our doors warning that our power consumption was unreasonable. Trying to survive 100+ degrees heat In a very poorly insulated building with no central AC will do that, I guess. She threatened to suspend service temporarily if we continued. The notice started with "Attention residents," and I saw identical papers on some other doors, so I assume it was directed at all tenants. 2 hours ago she followed through with her threat. The power is out in my apartment, the hallways and stairs are barely lit. My landlord is not answering her phone. What can I do? With the kind of person she is, I'm worried that she will just wait for the end of the extreme heat, evade consequences by turning the power back on, and pull this crap again in the next heat wave. Guys, did a similar situation ever happen to you? If you ask me, turning the electricity off in such a heat is definitely not too far away from bodily harm, so I'm sure the landlord could get into big trouble. Please correct me if I'm totally wrong. Update: my landlord shut off the electricity in the middle of a heat wave. This happened in New York. I would like to thank everyone who replied to that post. It was very helpful. After the post, my SO and I decided to get a hotel. When we came back this morning, the power was back on. My neighbor told me what happened. Shortly after we had left, someone in the building called 911 because their son was showing symptoms of heat exhaustion. He is fine now, by the way. The firefighters were curious as to why the power was off. Long story short, after the kid was safe, they had a nice talk with the landlord about endangering a child's life to save some money, and she was asked to turn the power back on. The poor kid's parents have already begun complaints to the relevant authorities. I will be meeting a lawyer tomorrow about breaking my lease. And the last one is titled, "My son stole a rare toy from my brother. My brother is refusing to take it back and is threatening to get the police involved. What do I do?" Right now my brother is threatening to sue me for my son taking a figure from his collection and get the police involved. Here is the story. Last week my brother invited me and my family over for dinner. While we were there, my son asked to see my brother's collection of toys and figures. My brother has spent a good deal of money on his collection, and from what I know, it is one of his biggest hobbies. Well, after dinner we left and everything seemed normal. Well, until yesterday. My brother called me up furiously and told me my little boy stole something from his collection and I needed to return it immediately. I honestly was upset at this, but if my son had taken something that was wrong, especially if it was from my own brother. Well, it turns out that my son slipped away during dinner and took a Boba Fett figure from his collection. He confirmed it because he has footage from his porch camera of him taking it out to our car. I was furious and took it from him. Here's the problem though, after I confirmed with my brother it was his, I found out that my son had removed it from its packaging. Apparently the figure is worth almost $2,000 in its package and almost nothing out of it. So my brother broke down over the phone and refused to take it back before hanging up. Well, he just called me again today and said he wanted me to pay for a replacement immediately or he will get the police involved and sue me. I told him I would help pay for one, but not fully, to which he said, "Not good enough," and hung up. Honestly, what are my options here? I cannot afford to pay him back right now. If he does go to the police, will my son get arrested? He's only 15. It was very wrong of him to do, but I think my brother is overreacting. What can I expect if he does take me to court or call the police? Guys, I'm actually really curious to hear your opinion about this situation. Do you think the brother is overreacting or is it an appropriate reaction? Let us know in the comments. Update: my son took the Boba Fett figure. So I never honestly expected the post I made to get where it did. I also never expected the barrage of support and hate. I would say these past 48 hours have been alright and that post has not helped in any way. So why am I back? Well, because I feel like I need to be. I'm not here to give some apology to a bunch of internet strangers for how I acted or seek validation. I'm here because I feel that for myself I need to admit my own wrongs and move on to a better place. So I want to talk about something first before I get into the update. Many people who responded talked about how me or my brother in a bad light, and with how I reacted in the comments, it didn't help the situation. I was also hit pretty hard for how I was not taking my brother into consideration when talking about the issue. To give some context for this, me and my brother have never had a good relationship. We have never seen eye to eye, and after our father's death, he cut contact with me for a good amount of time. We are just too different in some senses. He's a single nerdy guy who has no aspiration for family, while I am the exact opposite. In these past few years, we have tried to fix this, work as adults to bring what little family we have back together. During our time apart, he began collecting old nerdy things, and I won't lie, I never understood the appeal. It is his life though, and he can do what he wants. So, when my son stole and damaged his property, I did not see how it was valuable to him and discounted it. So when he asked for $2,000 to fix it, I really did not feel like it was worth it. Was this wrong of me? Maybe. I don't feel bad about defending my son, I only feel bad that I discounted my brother in the process. Sorry about that, like I said, I don't want sympathy. I only wrote that out to allow myself to be true about the situation. Back to the update. So after all was said and done, my family had pretty much been thrown into chaos. I had no idea what I was going to do, and after talking with my wife, we decided we would take many of your advice and have my son pay him back. We collected all the non-essentials he had and planned to sell them to raise funds. During this time, I got back into contact with my brother and wanted to talk this out to make sure this did not end badly. I offered to pay in full. Also, some people in the comments said that the figure was worth less, so I asked him. He had it professionally valued a few months ago when he bought it, and it was worth a total of $2,200. My brother said he plans to not sue us. His renter's insurance apparently is willing to pay him the value he has listed, but he would need to file a police report to get it. At first we agreed not to go that route and simply pay him the value of it, or one for a replacement if he could get it cheaper. This was the plan until last night. During the process of taking his things away, my wife found a conversation he had with a friend he has over the internet. It turns out my son stole the figure to sell. He had googled it while we were at my brother's house and found out how much it was worth and bragged to a friend that he was going to sell it at a pawn shop. He did not realize that taking it out of the package would ruin it, so he ripped it out to hit in the car better. Suffice to say, I'm not happy about this. I won't elaborate on this very much more, but me and my wife have decided that what is best for all of us is that we let him face the consequences of this. My brother is going to file a police report and collect money from insurance. Some may say this is a bit harsh, but honestly, I think this might be for the best in the end. The way my son actively stole from family to make a profit worries me, and I believe the only option that I can live with myself making is this. I will stand by my son till the need, but he needs to learn now before he is an adult. So thank you all for the advice. The support and hate are what I needed as a true wake-up call. Like I said, I don't need pity, I'm doing this so that I can be true to myself and maybe become a better parent in the end. And unfortunately guys, this is the last story for today. Please let me know if you enjoy r/LegalAdvice, because honestly for me, it is nice to have some variety and these stories are quite different compared to the other ones, so it's really fun to read them. Moreover, please excuse me for my voice in the last few stories. I gotta admit, I'm extremely tired today because I came home really late, so I hope in the next couple of days I can record a bit earlier. Still, I hope you don't mind too much. And thanks once again for all your support. I hope you have a fantastic day and I see you again tomorrow.